Hi guys, I'm so glad you're joining us for our Grow With Me at ACPC workshop. We are going to start with math. This month is all about math, and we've got tons of materials in your bag for you all to use. So one thing that you're going to find in your bag is some task cards that we made for you all. And if you will flip through them, you will see that each card has different activities to correspond with the materials in your bag. So we're going to go ahead and start with the first one, and it's number cards. So I'm going to grab my pen, and these are your number cards, okay? They're gonna look like this. You have numbers 1 through, I'm thinking like 20 or so. What we want you all to be able to do with those, we want your kiddos to be able to take the number cards, place them in order. So they can just put them in order from 1 to whatever. Now, if your child does not recognize numbers 1 through 5, start with 1 through 5. And then you're going to build up from there, and they can just simply place them in order. Now, to trick them up, if you want to take a number out and ask them what number is missing, you can also ask them, hey, do you know what number comes after 2? They should be able to say 3. Or do you know what number comes between 2 and 4? They should be able to pick out 3. That's maybe a higher order thinking question for some of your kiddos, but we want them to be able to work up to that. This is called a number line, and it's simply numbers in a line. So in order to use this, you can have your child count on the number line. They can also count up from a given number. So if you say, let's start at 5 and count up to 10, they should be able to touch 5 and then count up from there. And also they can take their little counters. They've got tons of little counters in their bag. This is a little turtle. So I'm going to place 1 turtle in front or below the number 1. For number 2, you would place 2 turtles below that. They also have dinosaur counters in their bag as well. So say we want them to place their dinosaur counters. How many dinosaur counters for number 2? They can place 2 under the number 2. So that is that activity. The next thing we have in your task cards is 5 and 10s frame counting. Okay? So for this one, there's lots of different things you can do. This is a 5s frame. I'm using the magnetic 10 cookie sheet that we gave you last month. So pull it out and grab your 5s frame out of the bag. And what it's going to be is that there's just 5 blocks. That's why we call it a 5 frame. We have magnetic counters in there for you to use. So we want them to be able to take the counter and place 1 on each square. Make sure that they are starting from left and working to go right. So what you may want to do is you may want to grab a number card. You're going to pick number 3. And you might want to say, hey, show me 3 on the 5s frame. Obviously this is not 3. So you're going to want to pull one of those off. And they should have 3 on there. You can do this for numbers 1 through 5. Now, if they know their numbers 1 through 5 and they are able to successfully do this, you're going to go up a step. You're going to grab the next one, which is a 10 frame. Okay? And on the 10 frame, same concept. We're going to start left to right, top to bottom. So left to right, and then go down to the bottom. They're going to grab another number card, and you may grab a number 6. Okay? And they're just simply going to place their magnetics shapes 1 through 6, okay? And you can ask them, if you say you've got 6 objects on here, you can ask them, need one more to make 6. All right, you may say, how many more do I need to make 10? And they're gonna be able to say 4, okay? So we want them to be able to count up from there. This is great when they start adding to. It kind of works off that as well. In your bag is also another great tool. These are dice. You've got 2. What you're going to do is they're going to roll the dice, and no matter whatever number they get, they're going to have to look at it and count. Okay, we'll talk about subitizing in a minute, but this is part of subitizing. They've got to look at it and count to be able to recognize what it is. So this one we automatically know is 3. They're probably going to have to count it at first. 1, 2, 3. And this one is 5. They're going to probably have to count it at first too. But we want them to be able to roll it quickly and to be able to recognize that it's 5 and 3. And that quickly makes 8. So it's a good addition game as well. So when they roll that, they're going to count those, and then they're going to place 8 on their 10 frame. Okay? So that is a great tool to use as well. Okay, next we have subitizing. So subitizing is something a lot of people haven't heard of. It's super, super simple, sounds fancy. It's just a fancy way of saying being able to identify a number quickly. So it helps when kids are start to count and to be able to recognize numbers quickly. So we have made you some paper plates with some dots on them. All you're gonna do is flash it very quickly and pull it away. And you're gonna say, hey, what number's on there? They're gonna be able to say 1. So then you're gonna, they don't have to go in order, mix them all up. 2, 3, and make sure you mix them up so they're not in order at times. 5. They're gonna probably have to count these at first, but the longer you do it, the quicker you do it, they're gonna be able to recognize it, hopefully to be able to recognize it quicker. So you may have to hold it for a longer period of time at first and pull it away. And then they're gonna be able to have that mental image in their mind. And sometimes they may be able to keep counting in their mind. So you just kind of have to wait and see. But pull it up and then pull it down. And the faster they get at it, the quicker they'll be able to recognize those numbers.
All right, guys, another fun math idea. We have these tubes, and not only are they different colors, but we've taken the time to label them with numbers 1 through 10, okay? You have lots of tubes in here, and I'm gonna use this tray just because I don't have a lot of room, but at home, you could use the floor and have your child to start with 1 and put them in order all the way up to 10, okay? Like Miss Jody said earlier, if your child is just beginning with numbers, don't try to force all of these at one time. Go on and start with a small foundation with 1, 2, and 3, okay? Now, another good idea too, if they are beginning to start counting and recognize numbers, you can also use that number line that she showed you earlier as just a model, all right? And lay out those cards, and then they could match the number to the card as well, okay? Now, in your fine motor kit, we sent home these tongs. Not only is this gonna help them to count the pom-poms that are in the bag as well, this is gonna help them with fine motor skills and one-to-one correspondence, which is a huge deal whenever kiddos are starting to count and starting to count amounts, all right? We want them to slow down, take their time, and lots of times they just wanna be like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they might be trying to count 5, but they've actually put like 10 into the container. So encourage them to slow down and take their time. Honestly, the tongs help with that because they have to concentrate to pick up each object. So what they're gonna do once they put them in order, they're gonna recognize the number. You guys can help with them with that at first. Of course, this is something that you have to learn to do. So don't just put it out in front of them and think, oh, I can do that. Do it with them. Have fun with them. Make it fun. If it's not fun, they're not going to want to do it. So 1, we're going to pick up 1 tong and drop it in. Also, if you just notice, I put a blue pom-pom in there, so that's color matching too. So if your child doesn't know their colors, this would be a great task to work on that as well. So if you're going to move on, you know, you might do green into green and count 1. I don't have another green, so we're just gonna pretend this one's green, and 2, okay? And then just build from there. All right, guys, this is another great higher order thinking skill whenever we are encouraging our children to build a strong number sense, okay? Now, tally marks. I want you to remember that this is a higher order thinking skill. So if your child is struggling like with numbers 1 through 5, be sure that you put in some more time with just that foundation before you add tally marks, okay? So right now you see 4 tally marks on my pan, all right? I am going to use our number cards with this activity. So I might lay a number card on the pan or the table, like with the child that I'm working with, and I would ask them to identify the number. So once they know that this number is 5, I would ask them, oh look, do you see 5 popsicle sticks laying on our pan? And of course they're hopefully going to say no, but encourage them to count 1, 2, 3, 4. No, there's not 5 popsicle sticks there. And then I would go on to explain, we can add 1 more to get 5. But I would talk to them about how in groups of 5, when we're using tally marks, we lay it over the group of 4 to create a group of 5. We want them to understand quickly that this is a group of 5, and by laying or by using tally marks and you have that diagonal line, they can quickly see, oh, that's a group that stands alone, all right? And then we would build on from there. I know that this is a group of 5 because I've already counted it and my diagonal line is laying there. So if I change this number to 6, it's gonna help them visually see, oh, if I add one more, I'm gonna come beside my group of 5 and then I'm gonna count on. So I have 5, 6. All right, we want them to put that number in their brain and then count on. So that's helping them to add and then just to visually see and get a good concept of that number sense. All right, the last thing that I'm going to talk about is our binder. So inside your bag that you get, you are going to have some things that are already placed in page protectors for you. Now, I think that it was last month that we gave you guys a dry erase marker. This is the perfect place to use that, all right? Because that makes these reusable, because you can just write on them and then erase, okay? So over here it says roll it, write it, tally it, and show it. So that is building off of the activity that I just showed you too with tally marks. You can roll the dice that Miss Jody showed you earlier, and you can draw a picture of the dice. You're gonna write the numeral, you can show it in tally marks, and then you're gonna put it in a 10 frame, okay? So our goal is to teach your child that you can show numbers in many different ways, all right? And that's what this activity builds on and supports, okay? Here is our a more detailed explanation of the tally mark activity that I just showed you. And this is, and for this activity, you're gonna need your dice and your Play-Doh. Now, each time you roll the dice, these squares represent a different dice. So each time you roll the dice, your child is going to tear or pinch. You can also allow them to use maybe the popsicle sticks as a little knife to cut if they would like to do that. Or if you have Play-Doh scissors, that would be a good time to snip little pieces of Play-Doh. You can roll it, and then you're gonna rebuild whatever you roll on the dice. So if I rolled a 2 on the dice, then I would snip off 2 pieces of Play-Doh, and then I would build that, and then I can also count that as 2, okay? All right, I think that wraps up our activities for this month. I also want to let you know that our next workshop will be February the 18th, and it will be focusing on letters and sounds, okay? We are so excited that you guys are participating with us, and we hope that you continue to. And if you know anybody else who would like to be involved, please let them know. Also, talk to Miss Dana and let her know that you want to come back for next month's activities. Hope you guys have a great afternoon.